Hi there, I'm Budda and you're watching Dr. Guitar, a show for all you guitarists out there. In today's episode, I'm playing through 8 of my fuzz pedals and selecting my top 5, hopefully with your help. First of all, let me thank my dear patrons for supporting the show. If you want to become a patron and support the show, you just go to the link and it's super easy. You'll be getting access to free video lessons every week, early access to episodes, and a free backing track every month. And of course, my huge thanks. You can also support the show by contributing to the tip jar on PayPal. And if you're interested in guitar lessons with me, just send me an email or a direct message via Instagram or Facebook and we'll deal with it from there. Let's go. So I have to do a disclaimer. A lot of pedals and gear and cables and stuff that I'm using in this episode was gifted to me by the brands or the builders. But that doesn't mean I'm being paid to say good things about it. I never review stuff that I don't like. And I never say good things about stuff that I don't like. So if I review it, it's because I like it. I'm using my Strat, my Fender Mexican Strat, going into my Mesa Boogie Lone Star. And this is the clean tone. And I'm using this great Transit Lab cable. It was gifted to me by Transit Lab. It's made in Canada. And yes, cables have a sound. They do actually have a sound. If you don't believe it, go and watch my episode about cables. I didn't have this cable at the time, but I'm loving it. Especially with single coils. I'm very finicky with cables. Because if I use a very transient, very bright cable, it's usually too bright for my ears. Especially with this, like Texas Special, these are very bright pickups. So I love it, and this was gifted to me. The brains of this episode is the Carl Martin Octa switch, which also Carl Martin sent me, and I'm using it to compare pedals. Why? Because whenever you're hearing a pedal, it's just that pedal and the 2 cables that connect that pedal to the loop that you're hearing. Oh, yeah. And this cable and the cable going into the amp. You don't hear all the pedals influencing each other. With fuzz pedals, that's really critical because fuzz pedals are very finicky to whatever comes into the equation. With that said, I'm also using Evidence Audio solderless cables to plug all the pedals. Mainly, I'm using some of my other cables because I didn't have enough cables to plug it all here. But those Evidence Audio are my favorite cables, and those are also gifted by Evidence Audio. So my huge thank you. Then I'm reviewing the pedals. I have the Excess Fuzz. I numbered them here. I set this little papers with numbers so you can know which loop they are in. Okay, so the Excess Fuzz is on loop 1. The Analogman Sunface BC183 is on loop 2. Vex Fuzz Factory is on loop 3. Analogman Pepermint Fuzz is on loop 4. This was developed for Jack White by Analogman. Purple Faze by Russ Effects is on loop 5, and this was gifted by Russ Effects to me. On loop 6, it's Gem Pedals Fuzz Frase, which I really love, and it was also a gift. Everything Gem Pedals does and Russ Effects is incredible. Well, all these brands here are incredible. I'm very indecised on what pedal to choose because I thought to myself, let me compare the fuzz pedals because I'm kind of rebuilding my fuzz and my pedal boards, and I'm reviewing my fuzz choices, and I thought I would compare them like this, and then I thought, well, this would really make a cool episode. So here it is. Pedal number 7, it's JHS Colour Box. It's not a fuzz, but it can sound like a fuzz, and I'm very curious to compare it to my favorite fuzzes. And on loop number 8, it's the Compenhagen Bender by Russ Effects, which was also gifted to me. This has all been powered by Phoenix Audio Walrus, by Phoenix Audio, by Walrus Audio, and this was a gift to me too. So I'm kind of feeling I'm living Christmas every day. Thank you a lot to those brands that give me these pedals, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to buy everything to do the videos. So I'm trying to find out my top 5 fuzz pedals, and I have 8 here to select. I would love to hear your comments, to hear your thoughts, to help me decide on that. At the end of the episode, I will tell you my top 5. So let's start with loop number 1. I've reviewed the Octa switch by Carl Martin, and I forgot to mention this bypass/mute can work as a bypass, so the pedal, the switcher is all bypassed, so you have your clean tone going straight to the M, which is really cool. Or if you press it here, it's a mute switch. In this episode, I'm using it as a bypass, so you can hear the clean with no pedals on. A thing I really like about fuzzes is their ability to clean up. And I did an whole episode about fuzz. I think it's called Fuzz Is All You Need. The link is here if you want to watch it. And basically, what I love about fuzz is that you can have an incredible fuzzy, distorted tone. But it's very distinct from distortion or from overdrive. Let me turn on the overdrive on the Lone Star. You'll hear the difference. So here's what the overdrive on the Lone Star sounds. And here's all the fuzz sounds. So you immediately hear the fuzz, looks like it's crapping out, it's blowing, and it's very used by guys like Jack White. Of course, Jimi Hendrix is the most famous one. Jimmy Page, of course. A lot of people in the 70s, these were the first distortion box coming out. So it's very famous, but Hendrix is probably the most famous one. But then the revival of fuzz, like the Black Keys, Jack White, and the White Stripes, they use it a lot. Queens of the Stone Age. So that lo-fi distortion blown out sound, it's just incredible on fuzz. And this Access Fuzz by Roger Mayer, it's probably one of my favorite fuzz of all time, if not the favorite one. I really love it, how it cuts through the mix. It's completely amazing. But you can have it with that dirty, completely farted out sound. And by lowering the volume, you can have a lot of nuances. So you can have the volume on 10, like the volume on 7. It's way less farted. Volume on 5. It's kind of an overdrive. And volume on 3. It's a clean tone. So this is super great to play. When I play Hendrix shows, for example, and we do it occasionally with my band, Budda Power Blues, we play homage to Jimi Hendrix. And when we play it, quite often I leave it on all the time. I leave the fuzz on all the time, and I just use the volume on the guitar. So if I want a clean sound, This is my clean tone, but if I want some overdrive, I just move it up a little. Little more. So what I'll be comparing on this pedals is not just the sound with the volume full up, but how they react to the guitar's volume, okay? So let's go through all of them. You've heard the Axis Fuzz, we're on Analogman Faze BC183. Axis Fuzz. Immediately I noticed that the Axis Fuzz cuts better through the mix. It has a little more mid-range and a little more articulation on the pick attack, but they both sound great. Let's go and test all the fuzzes with the volume like here on 7. Axis Fuzz. Z-Vex. The Z-Vex has a special thing. I will go there in a minute. The Z-Vex and the Peppermint Fuzz. So let's skip those two and go to Purple Faze. Okay, so you hear different characteristics and it's really hard to pick because they all sound incredible. I might like some better because they are kind of a little sparkly, more sparkles. So for example, the Analogman BC183 is cutting better through the mix when I lower the volume. And this is a critical thing about playing fuzzes. It's not just the full-on and off pedal. That's a pedal you have to play into. So for example, with the Axis Fuzz, I was feeling it a little too big, too bassy when I lowered the volume. Volume on 7. Yeah, it doesn't lose bass, but the Analogman Faze gets thinner. But when full on, the Axis Fuzz is brighter, more mid-range, it cuts better through the mix. So you have to decide on what things you like, and I'm already super confused because they are all incredible. I told you the Vex Fuzz Factory and the Pepermint Fuzz were different because they are kind of gated in this way. I can have both of those pedals not being gated, but what I love about those pedals is the gated tone. So let me show you the Fuzz Factory full on. It's just great, and I use it a lot, like lowering the volume. Let me take off the reverb of the amp, lowering the volume to make it be almost dead. Man, I love it for that. Let's compare it to the Pepermint. Yeah, there's nothing like the Fuzz Factory. The Fuzz Factory is unique, and I use it a lot. I use it on songs like Tony, My German Friend, for example, on Gotta Do Something, because I love the way it shuts off. So if you're playing heavy songs, even with it full on, it will shut off. Hear it. The minute you stop playing, it shuts off. I did an episode on that, trying to find an alternative to it. I actually found it on the Muzz box by Russ Effects. It's what I'm using on my very small pedal board, my Fly Gig pedal board. But I love it on this. It's just magical. But you can lose the gate a little and it becomes a more normal fuzz. Man, this pedal is out of its league, so it's on my top 5 definitely. It's my I need to have this pedal on my board if I'm serious about playing. I will have this one. The XS Fuzz will also make it, but I'm kind of in the size of between the XS Fuzz and the Analogman. Let's leave the the Fuzz Factory alone because it's completely a different beast. The Peppermint Fuzz, number 4, it's kind of the same. It's funky, it's quacky, I love it. When you turn down the volume, it gets really, really... kind of dying. I love it, but it can also be set, if you set the bias higher, it can also be set like a regular fuzz. Let's compare it to the BC183. Okay, let's move on to Purple Faze. Man, it's really hard because these builders are just incredible, and I love Rust effects. It's incredible. Purple Faze and Fuzz Frase, so Rust effects and Gem Pedals Fuzz, are kind of similar, but the Purple Faze is a little brighter. So hear it full on. Volume on 8. Yeah, it's brighter, crystal, so it depends on the amp you use. That's another thing about fuzz pedals. They will react completely different depending on which amp you're using. So I'm using a clean amp here. But it's the Lone Star, so the Lone Star is very pedal friendly. If you use it with some kind of different amp, like a twin reverb, for example, it might be super harsh. Even a deluxe reverb, it might be super harsh, just the fuzz. And I'll show it in a minute. But for the pedals full on, they sound completely different from one another. Let's go to the Compenhagen Bender, which is one of my favorite fuzzes at the moment. It's on my studio pedal board. Well, now it's here, but I took it off from my studio pedal board because I love it as a fuzz and as a tool. Because it can be like this. So you can really tailor the tightness of your sound and the compression by using the volume. And it's like, depending on the phrase, depending if you're playing higher, and it's that glassy strat sound that I love. So it's super hard to pick one. Let's go to the different of the bunch, which is the JHS Colour Box. So this is kind of, it reminds me of something about the Z-Vex, but I think this is way too different from what I'm looking for. It's not a fuzz because it doesn't clean like a It's a great effect, a great pedal. I use it all the time in the studio, but I usually use it with microphones. So I use it to capture drums, but I also use it to record guitar directly and to get those crazy, fuzzy, crappy tones. I love it. It's not a fuzz for me, so this is out for the moment. The Carl Martin Octa switch has buffer on and off that you can use. And here how it affects fuzz tone. So it's off right now. On. It will depend as everything. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't like it. But I'm using it off so it doesn't influence how the pedal works. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this. I kind of have my selection, but I would really love to hear your thoughts. If you're watching this on the premiere, please let me know right away which one is your favorite. I'll tell you which is my favorite in a second. But first of all, let me thank my patrons for supporting the show continuously. If you want to become a patron, it's super simple. Just go to the link and follow the steps. Also, if you're interested in guitar lessons or vocal lessons with me, just send me an email or a direct message via Instagram or Facebook and we'll deal with it from there. Please visit my reverb.com store where I have some of the gear I review here in the show and that I can't afford to keep. None of this gear is going to my Reverb store because I use it all the time and I love it a lot. So it's all a keeper, but I have a lot of great stuff there. So here's my verdict.